All right, good evening, everybody. I'm hoping I'm coming through loud and clear here tonight. We are rocking on some new equipment out here, so we're going to go ahead and let this rip as you guys join us here at SimTraX Broadcasting for the Talladega race tonight for the EA Sports 500. Should be an excellent race here lined up. I've got a ton of drivers who have qualified and are out there on the track here for the Gen 4 Cup Series, and I'm super excited to see what these guys can do at the high speeds that they are able to turn. Let's go ahead and take a little look here right now on this race that we've got lined up for tonight on this 2.66 mile track, 113 laps. Of course, they're going to be running here tonight with a 77% fuel limit. Obviously, you guys know, no fast repairs, this being a fixed setup, and obviously plenty of tires out there. Greg Thiessen will be our race control. Stella's still out there on vacation in Europe, and we're still hoping for the best. I guarantee you she's not running into 106-degree track temperature like we are out here tonight. So let's go ahead and take a look at our starting grid, where Josh Conover, Dalton Tucker, Matthew George, Brady Moats, and Dustin Kleba are going to make up our top five. That should be excellent here. Right now, Josh Conover looking to reprise that role there in the Dale Jr. car, seeing that during this time, during the 2004 series, that the real racer out there on the track was Dale Jr., was the previous winner. Moving on to Vincent Arth, who sits 6th, Jacob Gladelick is 7th, Wayne Eastwood, our first non-playoff driver, he'll be starting in 8th. Moving on to Cody Reeder, 9th, and Nick Geilis in that 10th spot. Moving on to Ronnie Norman and Ryan Housden for row number 6. Brian Jones, Jake Christenberry, Kevin Ballmer, and Nick Pressey for 7 and 8. Moving on to row number 9, where Christopher Heights and Cody Smith sit. Cody Height now in 19th, and John Skavanicki is 20th. Hunter Sr. finishes off in 21st. Nick Ham will be starting in 22nd. Joseph Vanderhaar is 23rd, and I'm showing Tyler DeTalon is actually out here for the 24th position start. So let's see how these boys can do out here tonight. They're going to have their hands full. All right, green flag is out, and we are away. Currently, Dalton Tucker and Josh Conover out front. They are going to be able to get some sort of speed here. Right now, Dalton Tucker and Brady Moats being pushed here to the front. Make sure we have our paints as correct as possible out there as the start of this race. Getting a little tripped up out there. Like I said, we're going to be racing a little bit different out here tonight, seeing that we've got some new equipment that we are giving a test out here and going to see how it does. Currently, I'm looking at Brady Moats sitting in that number 1 spot in that Bass Tracker boat. He's got it. He's going to hold the lead here for just a moment, but it is not going to be very quick for him. He's got to charge forward and try to see if he can get just a little more out of that car. Right now, coming to the line, that does leave Brady Moats leading lap number 1. As we get away there, looks like the number 24, Vincent Arthur, out there in the DuPont Chevrolet. Looked like he had a rough time last night as he got into a little bit of a bump and run out there. At the last race back at Dover, Vincent Arthur, I think, had come down and made contact out there with Cody Reeder. And the two of them through turn number 2, contact was made, and they ended up in a little bit of a spin out there. Right now, man on the move so far is Nick Pressey. He's sitting back here in that 12th spot, looking to charge up to the front. He can get just a little more. John DeTalon out there, rooting on his boy out there. And the Tyler DeTalon can do something. Right now, Tyler DeTalon looks like he is way off pace here, though. Unfortunately, him being out of the draft, that means he's going to have to check way up. And he may have to wait for a caution. He is not going to be able to reel these guys in. They is steadily gaining over a second a lap. Check back in on Nick Pressey out there in the zero machine. Currently at Ward Burton car, watching the Dalton Tucker machine getting bumped to the outside, 3 wide. As the 42 is heading on back. Leading this race does go to Brady Moats now. Matthew George, after a dismal finish he's been having and kind of reeling in the back of the points, is going to be looking to continue this charge forward. Right now, Matthew George is currently sitting 29th in the points. Right now he's got a lot of work to do here. 35 points before he can catch the next driver out there of Jacob Gladelick, who does sit right ahead of him in the number 20 car. Right now, do notice how all these cars are staying in a single file line. I do see the driver of Jake Christenberry. Christenberry pops way to the outside there, decides he does not want to be racing and tumbling with these guys right off the bat. The 01 here, Joseph Anderhar, currently sitting in 21st. He's gained a couple of positions here, still looking to work his way up to the front, as he's got plenty of time to do so. Wayne Eastwood now is currently up to 4th. That's good from his 8th place start for the CarQuest machine of Kyle Busch is starting to come alive. And Brady Moats, trusting the process here. He's in the lead. Oh, it's going to be pretty quiet here for the beginning here of this race. Nobody's really trying anything crazy out there. I think the cars are getting these guys a little bit nervous. As you can see, Vincent Arthur doing a little bit of wiggling. Ryan Housden, no surprise here. He's going to be looking to charge forward. Decides not to, doesn't get any help. Nick Pressey gets ready to get a little more speed. And was getting ready to close the gap there, but decides not to. Starting to get a little side-by-side action here in the back. Brian Jones. A dismal 13th place start here. And remember a little bit of Brian Jones. He was a DNF last week. Remember, he ended up making some contact out there. Right front wheel locked up and slammed him straight into the wall there on turn number 3. 45 machine's got his work cut out for him here. We're looking to see some of our top drivers sitting here in the back. Dalton Tucker all the way back to 18th. Guarantee you he is doing this because he smells a caution early in this race. Although the way these guys have been driving the past few races, ever since the end of the season, there has not been any trouble out of these guys. That continues to see if these guys will be able to manage blasting their way to the front. Check out there, back there in the chat, Alanis King saying, "Oh, you remember, I guarantee you do." Nothing worse than kind of rooting them on out there. Everything was going swell and then just gets the door shut on him. Move up here to Vincent Arthur, who's currently sitting in 7th. 8 laps into this one. Pretty quiet here. Nobody's really testing their luck. Interesting to see. We've seen here at the Talladega races before, this thing will hardly break apart and send these guys obviously 2 wide, sometimes even 3 wide. Most commonly, but right now it's pretty kind of interesting to see now that we're in the playoffs that these guys are trying something a little bit different out here of just single filing this thing and making it run. Fortunately, no stages during this year, so what you see is what we got. Hard to draw a caution out when there's only single file, so drivers right now like Nick Ham, who's off by 21.5 seconds, Tyler DeTalon off by 31.5. And growing is starting to get pretty rough. Kevin Ballmer down 10 seconds. Christenberry, Joseph Andahar, and John Scavanicki are going to join him. And then we've got the next clutch where we find Dalton Tucker, Hunter Sr., Ronnie Norman, and Cody Smith. So at least 3 drivers out of the Chip Nassy Racing crew who are sitting back here 16, 17, and 18th. I don't know if I'd want to be hanging back that far, but fortunately they are only about 3.5, 4 seconds off the lead. They could come alive if they want to. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. Now, I've got to say, Wayne Eastwood up here, not as a playoff driver, breaking up this line. I like to see it. We actually had Nick Geilis finishing his first time in a podium position this season on the playoffs there at Dover last week. Which was excellent. Great to see. Boy, take a look at these guys. Right now, Brady Moats is doing 190 miles an hour in the lead. So that is quite impressive out of his race car. As he has really been able to kick it into high gear here. Fortunately, him being out front does help save fuel for the drivers behind him. But remember the little tussle up between these two at Dover. Brady Moats tried to throw a block there, and Josh Conover got into the back of him. It seems we're looking to repeat that right now. Still everything pretty quiet here at Talladega. Right now, no movement out there. Nobody making any passes. So this 2.66 mile track, we're known for the super speedway boys. Ones I'm referring to out there are the Earnhardts. Dale Earnhardt to be known most common out there for his Mr. Restrictor plate. And then, unfortunately, when he passed away, that Junior then took over and ended up winning a bunch of the super speedway races. Oddly enough, it did create a little expectation out there for Dale Jr., as he had won a good chunk of the races this year. One of them was even the Gatorade 125 during this season. Back during the Daytona 500 he had won. He had won at Atlanta right after that. Then I think it was about May 15th he ended up winning there at Richmond. So talk about wild. Right now Dale Jr. did win back at Bristol. And then he ended up winning this race and Phoenix. And would you believe he did not win the championship? And that's something. Originally, the Aaron's 499 was the winner was Jeff Gordon out there. And toward the end with the EA Sports 500, ended up being Junior. All right, everybody's still single file out here. Nobody testing for any positions. I'm noticing Nick Pressey's still taking a look here as he rounds out our top 10. Cody Reeder does teeter on the outside there. Everybody's starting to watch that fuel gauge here. Tires are not going to be an issue, and looks like Tyler and John are going to be heading home early. Tyler DeTalon has come down into pit road and has already taken it back to the garage, which I can only assume was an engine issue. May have had an overheat or a mechanical problem that did unfortunately knock him down and out here. And I'm thinking he also lost the tail end of this run and was unable to really collect it up here. And the first caution is out here of the night. This one going, I'm showing Kevin Ballmer is sideways out there in the number 30 AOL machine. hopefully we will have a chance to see what caused this. Good Lord. Like I said, we're on some new stuff. Here's Christenberry. Yeah, and Christenberry nicks him here. It does look like Kevin Balmer was able to keep it off the wall. No, he was not. So Balmer will be heading into pit road to see if he can square that car away. Balmer trying to get up to the front, showing Cody Smith has got a problem here. I don't know if Cody Smith smacked into the wall here. Alright, well, not quite seeing what the heck got Cody Smith pushed down in the pit. Whoa, what was that? Oh, that plume of smoke. If I'm not mistaken, that will be a blown engine. He is downshift one too many times. And that ended up blowing the motor. So Cody Smith is going to be down and out here for the race. Brady Motes, Dustin Kleba, Vincent Arthur, Jacob Gladelick, Wayne Eastwood to be our top 5 here. And we will be back to the racing here momentarily. I'm going to cut away here for just a moment. Need to fix a few audio things, and we'll be right back. Alrighty, welcome back everybody here. Sorry, fixing a few things. Like I said, we're trying to square away a little bit of new equipment issue. Here we go with Brady Moats, Dustin Kleba, Vincent Arthur, Jacob Gladlick, and Wayne Eastwood going ahead and starting us in the top 5. Finish on from beyond there is going to be Brian Jones, Hunter Sr., Ronnie Norman, Josh Conover. Good pit stop there. As he ended up taking 15 seconds to put 4 tires and fuel on that car, as he's sitting in now 9th, and Nick Gillis, who is now going to be starting in the 10th spot. And end-of-line penalty was divvied out to the number 48 of Jake Christenberry for turning Kevin Balmer there. Balmer spent the last 2 minutes down in pit getting his car squared away because unfortunately he did suffer some damage to the right rear of that car. Brady Moats, extreme high line here as we're going to get back under green here. Brady Moats will be first across the line. Dustin Kleba sits second. Vincent Arthur is in third. Appreciate you guys joining us here at SimTraX Broadcasting for the EA Sports 500 as we get kicked back off. Early caution here to go ahead and kick this one off. Did not last very long, though, I've got to admit, as we see a little tumble up there on lap number 16 for the first caution to come out. Brady Moats wants to continue leading this race as he makes a quick block there to the outside line. Vincent Arthur had started drumming up a little bit of a run here on the outside. Notice the DuPont Chevrolet slides to the inside, and Brady Moats blocks him. Currently, Brian Jones is the only Ford sitting here in the top 5. We're looking to play chase as he came from all the way back outside the top 10. Now fought himself up to 5th. Most drivers only fuel and go here. Brian Jones with a 7:73 pit stop time. Definitely a lot better. We ran 2 minutes and 24 seconds on that single pace lap here. We got him up higher now, around that 56 mark, and I'm sure we're going to continue to pick up more speed than that. Currently, Brady Moats still leading this line here. Vincent Arthur having to tuck back in as we got something happen a little farther here in the back. Right now, I see a couple of guys are making some separation here, starting to open up this line. I think it starts around, John Scavanicki there giving a little rub here to the 41. I believe if I wasn't mistaken, I thought that was Hunter Sr. out there in the number 40. A little bit different paint scheme for the number 40 out there. Used to seeing him out there in the Silver Bullet. Looks like he is on the acid reflux machine, the Prilosec. Prilosec 40. Chevrolet here, moving back to Dustin Kleba. Sitting there in the number 9. The Casey Kane machine is working it hard here on the inside. Ronnie Norman out there in the 39. If I'm not mistaken, pink color should be for the breast cancer awareness out there. As we continue to see these blasting on by, Brady Moats still leading every lap here so far of this race. And notice the outside line. Somebody's starting to work together here. 39 really pile driving here. Ronnie Norman has got to be careful of his water temperature out there, not to launch the motor. 2 drivers have had to retire here for the night, Tyler DeTalon and Cody Smith. And they will be finishing in 24th and 25th. I don't think John Scavanicki's blown the engine. And that's what I was talking about, watching that water temperature, and I think that is what we've got here. Checking for fluid out there on the track, looking to see if the 43 is continuing to lay down oil out there. And with the amount of speed he has, he definitely earns himself the black flag here. He'll be heading down into pit. So John Scavanicki running a pretty good race here the past couple of weeks. Unfortunately, it looks like he's going to be finishing here in 22nd. I don't think he'll be able to recover. I'll keep you guys updated if he does take it back to the garage. stall. All right, so we've got a lot of eyes out here for Brian Jones, who really needs to start reeling in Dalton Tucker here. Because Dalton Tucker in his points chase is still rocking very strong. And a lot of people were kind of saying there are 3 drivers that may have the chance to do it. Dalton Tucker, Dustin Kleba, Brian Jones, and Vincent Arthur. But Vincent Arthur actually loses a position. He drops down to 6th. Conover picked up 2 in the points chase. Going ahead and securing him the 5th spot here starting tonight. Vincent Arthur with 3 wins so far, or excuse me, 5 wins so far this season. And should be trying to collect up a little more. All right, checking out there in the chat as well. I was talking a little bit about Brian Jones out there sitting in 5th. He currently sits 3rd in the points after winning 5 on the season. 10 podiums. He's only 72 points behind the lead there of Dalton Tucker. Dustin Kleba is only 70 points, so very, very close race on our top 3. But we'll see how it's going. John DeTalent saying, yep, we'll be back next week. I hope so. Miss seeing Tyler DeTalent out here on the track. Hopefully we'll get just a little more. I do want to know that while we have Brian Jones out there, see if we can get a little shout out there from Alanis out there, going ahead and giving us a hint of what to put. I see it there on the quarter panel. I believe use Alanis to get 20% off. I want to make sure. Go ahead and make sure you put it out there in the chat. That way we know exactly what we got to put to get one of those sweet foam cannons that you guys have out there. All right, moving back to Matthew George, who's now back in 9th. George was fighting his way up to the front. It looks like that has come to a quick halt here. Matthew George was one of the drivers to take 4 tires. Yep, and checking out there in the timer there, as well as Josh Conover. And out there, and Cody Reeder had taken 4 tires. Wayne Eastwood looked like he may have just taken a set of right sides with a 10.5 second pit stop time. Ballmer's trying to recover his race after that tumble up he had earlier. He is maintaining, still about 4 seconds off the pace though. Awesome. There we go. So guys, check out there in the chat. You guys looking to get any of those car wash needs out there. Alanis King has got you hooked up. And she says even the soap and the wash kit smells so nice. What does it smell like? Smell like bubblegum? New car? Don't tell me soap. All right. All right, Hunter Sr. right now the hard charger here of our race. The number 40 machine is now up to 10th. Not bad for starting 21st here tonight. A driver I would like to see return would be Kurt Quist. I think that'd be a heck of a car to sponsor out there. Move our way up to the front. Jacob Gladelick out here. Not bad. Started 7th. He's now currently sitting 3rd. Vincent Arthur started 6th, sitting 2nd. Brady Moat still leading this one. All right. Landis out there saying it smells a little fruity but clean. Okay, I can deal with fruit. Sweet. All right, Dalton Tucker is starting to slowly creep back to the front. He was sitting back here in the 13th position. Right now, Dalton Tucker, he did fall way off, fell back to 18th on purpose because he was not interested in getting beaten around out there. Dalton Tucker running a little bit different paint scheme. You're used to seeing him out there in the 42 Haviland machine. And this week it should be the home 1-2-3 car. It's a little unusual from seeing the black and red Speed Devil out there. Christopher Heights, he ended up with an early checkout here in the past couple of races. As the Rusty Wallace machine trying to see if he can get going again. I know he'd like to make a good run for it. And as we are in the playoffs, you guys know the season will be coming to an end soon. Not very soon. I mean, I believe we still have about another 6 to 8 races to go. So definitely go ahead and get your applications turned in now. Start practicing with these guys in the off season. And that way you guys can be ready to race when they are. Wayne Eastwood with a little blink out here, out there on the track. We lose him there for just a moment. That's not what you want to see out there, especially during these races. We got a little bit of wiggling here, side to side. Whoop, Eastwood blinking again. Not good here for Brian Jones or Dustin Kleba. Currently, the Evernham Motorsports gang is moving around here. Wayne Eastwood blinking out. He is going to go ahead and check off. And right now, I think RC out there is queuing in, telling the 84, we can't find you, caution's out. Kevin Ballmer sliding again. This will be the second caution this guy's involved in here for a playoff driver. This is definitely going to break his heart and his team's heart as well. Kevin Ballmer. Currently running with the Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. We will see if he is the only one. Nick Giles is sitting down here in 20th. And I believe Nick Pressey may have been involved as well. We'll take a peek here. It shows Nick Pressey may have had some trouble here before crossing the line. Kevin Ballmer, whoop. Boy, Pressey, save it, come on. Nick Pressey saves it. Fantastic. Pressey does not slam it off the wall here. Here's a look at Kevin Ballmer. And we saw he saved it. So everybody pushing and pushing and pushing out there. Ends up catching him a little off guard. So these two. Looks like Ballmer will probably be given an end-of-line penalty. When we restart this race, expect everybody to come down in the pit. Top off on fuel. Last time they came in was lap number 16. They double that here on lap 32. And they'll be looking to top off once again. Do I think they will take tires? No. I do not think most of them will not take tires. I would say our guys who are spinning out, yes. Kevin Ballmer will probably put tires on. Nick Pressey will probably put tires on. He will only, worst case scenario, lose 2 to 3 positions, but he'll have a set of fresh shoes on there to try to keep that car as attached to the racetrack as possible. Driver's been pretty quiet tonight is Ryan Housden, which I find him back here in 12th. As one of our target machines that has been kind of a low on the radar here. Currently sitting in the same position he qualified in of 12th. Kelly really bad one here is taking a look. Brian Jones, currently in the box, back out of the box, decides to take a set of right side tires. I like the call here for Brian Jones. I'll go ahead and restart him back in 5th. So the Rainbow Warriors not the fastest pit crew this time for Fuel and Go. Jacob Gladelick's team with the Tony Stewart Home Depot. Number 20 Chevrolet had a 7.17 there in the box. Excellent time. Brady Motes, does mean Brady Motes will lose the lead here. And he will be starting 2nd tonight. Expect Brady Motes to want to make that pass and get back into the front. See how soon it takes him to get there. All right, John Scavanicki is still working on repairing that engine. The number 15 of Cody Height has taken it back to the garage. Made it to lap number 27. And then looks like called it quits there. I believe that was the number 15 I thought was driven, yes, by Michael Waltrip. So normally the Napa machine will be down and out here. Kevin, yep. End of line here as he spends another minute in the box. And pretty tough out here to see what these guys are coming to. With Brady Motes in the lead, I don't think that's going to be the guy that we want to see if we can have a chat with out there. I do want to see out there with have the possibility of grabbing a hold of the number 9 car of Dustin Kleba. The pace car lights are off. Hoping I can see if I can snag him here. And may have a chat here with him, and I'm hoping this isn't going to cost me my job here. Dustin Kleba, you got a copy on me here, buddy? All right, man. Tough run here the past couple of weeks. Rough racing out there tonight. How critical is it staying in the draft, and how are your temperatures looking out there?
Well, I think I set my thermostat to about 72. Around 9 o'clock, the thermostat drops down to 70, so temperatures are feeling pretty good. No, it's good. Just biding our time until that last fuel stop.
All right, when we talk about, that last fuel stop, noticing how we are going just about 16 laps each caution here, I've seen a couple of guys already launching the motors out here. We saw John Scavanicki. I think he's blown his engine. I believe it was the 22 out there of Cody Smith. He launched his engine. We've got a lot of problems with the guys overheating out there. Is it kind of a Ford Chevy thing, or is it a nose-to-tail in these cars?
Honestly, if I had to guess, these new Gen 4 cars don't have a flashing gauge at you that flash red when you're running hot, so if you're not paying attention, it can sneak up on you. So that could be a possibility, or it could just be that Fords are better.
Gotcha. All right, Dustin, hopefully we'll see the Evernham Motorsports guys. I hope you guys are able to get up there to the lead. I see DEI and Hendrick are going to try to lead this one off. So, Dustin, good luck to you out there, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, going ahead and round it up there with Dustin Kleba. Try to get a little extra out there from the racetrack, and maybe a driver that may see something we don't. Apparently, what we didn't see is his thermostat for his house. And set at a wonderful 72 degrees, so we'll be back at it again. Cody Reeder, here we go, as we get back under green here on lap number 36. Vincent Arthur leading this race here. Expect Brady Most to slack off a little bit. I'd expect to see the Bass Tracking Machine get back in the front. And I would hope that we do not end up separated by 3 or 4 here. Now, Jacob Gladelick will have a heck of a shot here as he starts shooting down the backstretch. Getting past a couple of those RVs out there. They're enjoying this race. Take a look here. Evernham Motorsports on the outside. That's kind of what we were hoping for. A little rally capping out there as we got some separation. The 39 there of Ronnie Norman. And they are 3 wide here in the back. That's around the Jake Christianberry area as he's leading that middle lane. Currently is getting a huge shove here from Josh Conover. Conover wants to move to the front. Expect that 3 wide to come down to 2 as that middle lane will most likely fade down to the bottom line. There they go. Excellent. So let's shift back up to the front here where I see Dustin Kleba breaking loose here from Brian Jones. Jones notices they are starting to lose the draft here, trying to reach up. Cody Reeder trying to snag the 84 before he squeezes away. As it kind of takes their toll on him here right now, Cody Reeder looking at a 3/10 gap. Now with a little help here from Brian Jones, he's starting to reel him in. Whew. Pretty close there. They thought they may have been losing the run, but they were able to go ahead and grab back a hold of it. Right now, Cody Reeder still wondering if Brian Jones is going to give him a push here. Kleba did fall way off pace here, as Kleba's now falling to 10th. Kleba may be blaming this one on me, as I had a chat with him, and now everybody's fading back. Kleba looking for the shove. Yeah. Nick Giles, who wants to break into the top 10, no can do. The 12 gives a shove to the 9. So the Ryan Newman machine out there in the Mobil 1 car. Seeing what all he can do. We are side by side here in the back. I am impressed to see the Chip Nossi team not breaking apart. As Ronnie Norman and Hunter Sr. out there. Oh, excuse me, Ronnie Norman and the 41 of Ryan Housden. Right now, Hunter Sr. is sitting back here in 18th. Right now, needs to reach up to Nick Ham and see if he can get up there. As Dustin Kleba's falling back. Kleba from sitting somewhere close to the top 5, outside the top 15 now. Wonder if this is planned here for Dustin Kleba. Let's scramble back up to the front where we find Brady Moat still sitting in that second position. I think he's going to A-OK it here to the to this point. Only 39 laps will be completed here. Vincent Arthur will be in the lead. And these guys have all worked together for a very, very long time. Knocking down the fastest time of his night. As Ronnie Norman with a 50.33. Definitely fast enough to take the pole here tonight, as he is actually the fastest driver on the track. Dalton Tucker back into the top 10. Ryan Housden falling off just a bit here. And I think they're spreading it all out, trying to see if they can help reel each other in. As this, what looks like the Nokia snake out there is starting to stretch pretty long out there. They're having a hard time coming back up with any plans here to fight their way back to the front. So right now, this is our front clutch. That's Vincent Arthur. That should be all the way back to Josh Conover. So there are our top 8 drivers. And then we float back to Ronnie Norman. And continuing on through where we find Dustin Kleba. So that should be 9th through 16th. So, slow going race here so far. Let's rotate back to Christopher Heights, who's sitting in 17th all by himself. Hunter Sr. back another about 2 seconds off of that. Kevin Blomler and Joseph Andujar. Andujar way off pace here. And that's going to hurt. Vincent Arthur, I think, just blinked out here. And we're in the search for him. As we take a look here at the crowd here at Talladega, Vincent Arthur is missing. That's going to put Brady Motes in the lead here. Huge dropout for Vincent Arthur. There he is. Vincent Arthur back as he drops down to 8th. Huge disconnect there for Vincent Arthur. Race control blown away at the number 24 returns. Waiting to see this one clump up. Jay out there in the chat as well. Appreciate you being here first and joining us here first tonight. And kind of rooting us on. I know you know all about the EA Sports 500 here at Talladega. Definitely a favorite, whether no matter what console you were on out there. Vincent Arthur still falling off pace here. He's dropping down to 16th. Get Jay out there saying, of course, Talladega. Yeah, man. This is definitely one of the easier ones. I've got to say, it definitely brings a lot of big drivers out and a lot of big crowds, especially whether you were all the way back from NASCAR Heat 4 or even racing on the computer. Talladega was one of the easier tracks that you could drive out there. Couple of guys out there saying they're having some trouble out there on the track, and I think that's what Jay is also talking about out there with the drafting package that they put together with these cars. But that's kind of what Talladega brings. It brings a little bit of pack racing out here, and it does put them side by side. I would say a little say, you know, the way the track is, the way the cars are out here is making it a little bit different. And if you race back in the next-gen cars, those things were side by side, pretty sturdy out there. They could take the draft pretty well, but everybody else kind of locked in about that 180-mile-an-hour mark. We've got some of these guys busting over 192 as top speeds. I think we even have a couple depending whether or not they are hitting the aero bubble and starting to pull in and then hitting 198 miles an hour, which scrubs 200. Yeah, Cody Height out there, that's what Jay's out there hinting to, is he couldn't keep the draft. Yeah, you do have to be almost nose to tail out there. Give a breath of air to the front of your cars and then get back in there. That's just the way this track is built. It's built for side-by-side racing, built for nose-to-tail driving, and then who can hang in there. If you do lose the draft, it's just about impossible. But hate seeing the 15 dip out so soon. That seems to be kind of a common thing out there, as Height is in and then he's right back out. Does not stick around for the majority here of the race. If he dipped out, let's see, lap number 27.93, so lap 28, and then we had a caution on 31, so he would have had the opportunity to catch back up, unfortunately. But we've actually had more cautions here, I believe, than we had in New Hampshire, which is crazy. Which is insane. So right now I'm seeing drivers right here. I think they were trying to make it pretty interesting out there with the drivers getting side by side, but nobody really testing their car any more than what we're already seeing. I was hoping we're going to see a couple of guys try to push their way up to the front and see if they can work with something, but I'm taking a look at some of our times. Let's just I'm checking with the Dustin Kleba right now And Matthew George and Vincent Arthur, right now, they are still losing time here. And take a look. And this is just for them to catch up to Nick Pressey. That time is steadily growing and growing and growing, and it's just they keep falling backwards. Right now, it doesn't help that Kaliba and Vincent Arthur are off his tail here, so they do need to get up there and give him a nudge. They have fallen way off pace here. Well, Jake Christenberry at one of his highest points here of the night, sitting in 6th. Good call there to only take fuel and get back out there on the track. So the Jimmy Johnson, number 48, working it here in 6th. Conover sitting right behind him. Ronnie Norman trying to grab a hold here of Josh Conover before they get hung out to dry. Dalton Tucker doing the same. And then when Dalton Tucker lost Ryan Housden, put him back about 3 seconds. I would say if you're not with that lead bunch out there, you were kind of you're not going to be making it back here. So that's quite unfortunate here for some of these drivers that have been doing a lot of speeding. Once again, look how Conover's kind of fading off here. And now it's him falling off of Jake Christenberry. Quite sure. I'm kind of taking a peek here, trying to see if I can listen in to what Conover's doing here. Why he's fading so far back. Conover dropping off by 0.4 of a second over top of Dalton Tucker here. Boy, look at that. So Conover, I'm wondering what the heck he's doing. He drops off by almost 0.4 of a second and then is able to make up over half of that through a couple of turns here. If he's dealing with some sort of drafting check is what he's looking at here. Ronnie Norman, Dalton Tucker, these guys are 3.5 seconds off pace. And that is definitely hurtful. Yeah, especially their cause here. Hate seeing Vincent Arthur get blinked out there, but that's definitely going to cost him big time here in the long run. top 5 guys have broken away by 4 seconds. Pretty impressive here. Looks like Jake Christenberry in the lapped car out there of Kevin Baumler. Pressy getting ready to catch up here to Joseph Andujar. Andujar just trying to get some sort of draft here, because he's had absolutely nobody to work with. Does not make for a fun race at all. I wonder if iRacing Jay out there, hey man, let me know, was this in the last update that they changed the draft package on these? These cars used to be pretty tight. Remember the Aaron's 499? This thing was pretty close out there, and these guys were trying to battle it out a good bit. But right now we are seeing a lot different change out there. The guys are just not able to come up with any sort of speed, any sort of draft out there. And I think a lot of that has to do with possibly what you're talking about out there is some sort of draft package issue of why these guys are so separated, can't recover, no extra speed out of these cars. And, you know, normally the Gen 4s are not something these guys complain about out there, but it definitely seems to be the case right now. I'm trying to ping a few different people out there and possibly some spotters and crew chiefs to see what in the world they've got going on out there. Fortunately, we do have a few drivers coming down into pit road. Jake Christenberry, Josh Conover are already working their way on down. Christopher Heights, Kevin Baumler. Hunter Sr., just name a couple extra guys out there. Nick Hama, he's already working his way out of pit. And they're going to see what he can do to get back going. As drivers holding in pit for a little longer than I think expected. Josh Conover, one of them. He's looking to squirt out and get back out there. Currently, Kevin Baumler looks like he's going to be playing chase again. And I hate to see that happen for him because he's already a lap down here. And he's not going to have anybody to draft with. Driving off for Josh Conover. We got a little excitement out here on the track. A couple of pit road changes. Ronnie Norman getting back in front of Dalton Tucker on the scramble out of pit. Still kind of keeping an eye out there, whether or not when they're going to have to pit. That's Christenberry and Conover. They have already pit. Around they go. Get back into 6th and 7th. Already pitting has been Brady Moats and company that's up front. Moats still holding on to the lead here, though, as they are working around the number 2 out there at Christopher Heights. And I believe that should be the 23, yes, of Nick Ham, joining him as well. So decent amount of separation, though. Jacob Gladelick sitting right off the back bumper here of Brady Moats. You see, ooh, yeah. There we go. Brian Jones looking to the outside, trying to see if he can get some help there from the 19 of Cody Reeder. But notice how nose to tail, they can't get anything going. They get going to the outside. Brian Jones pulls to the outside after getting a run, and then the car just dies. And I think that might be what they haven't been expecting here, is to see the car just absolutely start plowing through the air, and nothing's cutting through anymore, so no changes can be made. And I'm hoping the only passing that we're going to be, it's not the case of the only passing we're going to be seeing is going to be down pit road. So Wayne Eastwood gets knocked out here, dropping down to 9th, and watch this as the cars drive away from him. Of Dalton Tucker, he is not going to be able to catch him. Try to get a little bit farther out. Dalton Tucker still creeping away, 0.8 of a second. He's gone. So Wayne Eastwood would now have to wait, I think, 4.3 seconds to find the next body who can touch him and try to move it up to the front. Wow. I mean, I don't know. I think iRacing might have done a dismal job on this one on this last update. They're sure there are going to be tons of complaints on this. So, yeah, that car just will not do anything. Unless it's definitely being helped immensely there by a driver in front and behind. Right now, this will be a good points night here for Brian Jones. Right now, I think Dustin Kleba also needs a good points night, but he is sitting down in 14th, sitting behind Matthew George and Vincent Arthur. Kleba's starting to kind of play it off a little bit, hanging there in the back. I would want to know what the cars would do nose to tail for a little bit longer. Kleba fading off. They're not going to gain any amount of distance here. As I say that, they're catching up on Nick Pressey. Pressey had lost the draft. Watch how this happens. Vincent Arthur will go ahead and go on around him. And that's it. Pressey now drops to 14th, and he's going to be running all by himself again. 35 seconds before he can find Hunter Sr., which is out there by a light year. quiet race here so far. Still nobody making any passes, nobody falling off, nobody playing chase here. So I do want to see if I can find somebody out there possibly to maybe keep us a little bit of, I would say, joke around, a little bit of company up here in the booth. And I kind of want to poke around a little bit and see if Dalton Tucker has a chance to talk to us. Dalton, you got a copy on me here, buddy?
Yeah, I gotcha.
All right, man. I don't want to poke around too much. Are we close to any of your pit stops here?
I've got about 10 laps left.
Okay, so we'll kind of jab at it a little bit here and kind of see what's going on. So talk to me. Is there a different draft package with these cars going on? Because I am noticing big time, you know, nobody can really hold the draft here. Nobody's picking up any speed. We're having trouble passing or even creating a second line out there. Talk to me about what's going on with the cars out there.
Yeah, just to be brutally honest, this is the absolute worst draft package I've ever raced with on here. If you're the last car, you lose the pack easy. You can't push anybody. You can't go too wide because you just lose the draft. This is about terrible.
Well, it does seem the only passing being made is down pit road. I would probably say nobody is going to be taking tires here for the most part, just fuel and go to get at least back up front or in fear of losing the draft. You know, when you say you can't push out there, is that due to overheating issues? We've seen a couple of guys blowing engines out there.
No, it's like it creates an air pocket, and if you don't have somebody behind you, you just can't get close enough to the car, and you can't ever catch them. It pushes them ahead, and then you're losing them.
Pushes them ahead?
Yeah, it's like a little air pocket. They'll gain up speed, but you'll lose speed behind them.
How was that possible?
I have no idea, but this definitely isn't fun or isn't right. I don't think. Maybe it is. I don't know, but this is not fun racing to me.
No, well, no real battles are happening out here. I'm trying to keep us a little busy here in the booth of what in the world is going on out there, because I'm noticing, you know, we're not too wide. I mean, the Aaron's 499 was 100% different than this. You guys were battling tooth and nail for 10 rows. I mean, to find a spot to fire up to the front, and here we are, you know, kind of just, I don't know, saying ticking off laps is what it looks like here. Dalton, you know, kind of, I want to know most of the time here, you know, what is everybody considering doing here? I mean, is this just kind of just keep doing what we're doing, or are we able to make up any kind of ground, or... I mean, I noticed you guys are picking up a little bit of time here to Brian Jones.
Yeah, I think we picked up about 6 seconds on the pack and caught back up. I don't know how we're gonna pass them other than just down pit lane. If we try to go outside, I think I lose the draft being this last car, and I can't afford to do that. So I'm probably stuck to the bottom, just staying behind everybody.
Boy, that is just... I hate seeing that, buddy. I really do, because this is definitely unusual. I would question it all. Dalton, it looked like it was your choice to drop to the back of the pack. Are we regretting it?
I kind of feel like I got screwed by Brady jumping to the bottom, and it just left me up top, and everybody went to the bottom at that point, and it just shuffled me back. So I went with it and kind of regret it now, but it is what it is.
All right, Dalton. Well, there's still plenty of time left to go here, buddy. Hopefully we'll be able to see you fight back up to the front. I think you're sitting right under 40 laps left to go here, buddy. So, Dalton, good luck out there.
All right, appreciate it.
All right, everybody, that is a little piece of advice out there for Dalton Tucker, who's kind of taking a peek of what in the world is going on out there, and even our points leader is not happy with the way this race is running. I do have to note, though, we are getting a solid chunk of cars here, though. Brady Moats in the lead, and now look how many. I've got at least, I believe, about 12 cars here all clumped together, which is pretty fortunate, but unfortunately, to the outside is where the number 40 is going to go. Tell you what, from that camera angle, these guys almost look like they're in slow motion out here. As we keep an eye on Josh Conover sitting 6th. And I believe Dalton Tucker's getting ready to meet some of his teammates. Hooks to the outside there, seeing if he can grab a hold of 40 Hunter Sr. Hunter Sr. is going to have, I believe that is currently the 0 car out there of Nick Pressey. As Nick Pressey helped reeling in, that should be Ryan Housden. And Housden, from what everybody else is saying, that is going to drop him off the pace here. If he cannot reach up and grab a hold of these guys again. So Brady Moats, from even Dalton Tucker's eyes, you know, may have made the move here that really worked out here and may actually ended up winning them the race. Take a look at this. These guys trying to come up with something. Here's Conover. Conover thinking about sending it 3 wide. That could be the doom of him. You saw he went to sling right in the middle, and then the car just died. And I seriously doubt Conover letting off the gas would be the reason for that. No way. As he is now losing Christenberry that he has been glued to here for the last 30 laps. Sitting back by a quarter of a second here. Make up a little more. Jacob Gladelick expect to make him a last lap pass if this goes. I would question right now, they have all pit back on lap number 58. And they are looking pretty close to needing to pit here. May have an opportunity to grab a hold of Josh Conover out there in the number 8. He was one of the favorites to win tonight. In the number 1 position, leading the most laps here tonight. And that is going to work out beautifully, especially for his points chase. Currently sitting there in 4th. 78 points off the lead, only 6 behind Brian Jones. And leaving him just a little farther than that, I believe. Not only that off Brian Jones, but that should knock him down about 8. All right. Here we go, pit road. About to get a little spicy here. In the pit road we go. Guys trying not to speed in, and I don't blame them. There's a nick there. Brian Jones trying to get into his pit road and ends up getting Wayne Eastwood turned here. Eastwood's going to be pretty torqued about that. Little contact out there. I think Brian Jones would probably complain a little bit that Eastwood was on the inside line. Brian Jones needed to the inside, and what was he doing there? I guarantee he's going to be screaming about this. Here's a shot to the inside. Notice Brian Jones. Remember, Brian Jones had a very, very low qualifying time. And a little confused as Brian Jones way, way, way before his pit stall. Not quite sure what he's doing here. Yeah, very unusual for Brian Jones to kind of, I mean, not saying anything bad, why he's driving like that. I don't know what the purpose is. He's coming into pits, and then all of a sudden wants the inside line right off the bat before anybody can shuffle. As he bumps Nick Ham originally, then turns Wayne Eastwood. He's still not to his pit box yet. Here comes Christenberry, and he's way on the inside of Christenberry. So I'm not quite sure what Brian Jones has got going on there, or if he's got a chip on his shoulder for what's going on out there. Looks like he's still pretty smooth on the way out of pit road, though. Alright, so we get back out there. Crazy, crazy, crazy turn of events here. Brady Motes with 11.47 pit stop time. Jacob Gladelick and Dalton Tucker. Tucker with an excellent time. Slings himself back up to third. And they are really going to try to not have to pit again until the end of this one, because that pit stop was the most critical here of the race. LJ Hernandez out there rooting on the 45. I would say there was a little trouble out there with the 45 machine here the past couple laps. Looks like we're going to be single file here for 1, 2, 3, and 4. Conover is trying to rally the troops together back here to see if he can catch up. Josh Conover with an under 11 second pit stop time. Especially down there in the box. Gotta say, pretty impressive there for Conover. Speed in and out of pits. Currently in this pack of 5, only 2 of them are on the lead lap. Showing Nick Ham as a lap down as well. Matthew George, I think, sitting about 15 seconds off pace here. So this may be Brady Motes' race to lose here. He might be able to squeeze it out. finally reaching a decent point here. We're looking at about 26 laps left to go here at the EA Sports 500. Been a pretty calm race here so far. Only a couple of cautions that we saw happen here tonight. Oddly enough, one of the cautions did not involve Brian Jones on lap 81 down there in pit. But we did have an issue back there on lap number 16 with Cody Smith. Ended up getting in a little bit of a wreck out there, as well with Kevin Balmer. And that ended up causing some animosity out there on the track. Then we had Nick Pressey and Kevin Balmer getting into it again. That was only the second caution flag of the night. And ever since lap number about 36, 38, we have been green flagged the entire way. And a lot of green flag pit stops here. Dalton Tucker's got to feel a little bit better here about what is going on. I've got to expect that the plan here is to shift things around a little bit. Now, I'm curious because you have Brady Motes here with Dale Earnhardt Incorporated in the front. Then we move to Nick Giles, who's normally out there, I believe, by himself. He doesn't really run with anybody. Or, excuse me, Jacob Gladelick. Good Lord, I messed that all up. Jacob Gladelick, who's not really tumbling around with anybody out there. Then you've got Dalton Tucker out here with the Chip Nassy Racing. And then you've got Evernham Motorsports of Brian Jones. So, who chooses the teamwork here? Do they try to boot Brady Motes and increase their positions by one? Do they tell Jacob Gladelick they're going to pop to the outside and only leave him out there? You know, who knows? So maybe they'll go 4 wide across the line. Wouldn't that be something? All right, a couple of drivers did have to come down into pits as we kind of put away a little bit. Take a look at that. Christopher Heights is destroyed. And Ryan Housden meeting the same fate here. Let's take a look. Oh, the number 2 to the inside. Now, that did not cause a caution here. The reason being on that is it was off the track. Yeah, I would love to find a better angle of this. And it just constantly showing me the same thing here. Let me see if we can take another look at it here. Yeah, does 2 get a huge run or something? I'm trying to figure out what the checkup is here. Yeah, 41 has to slow down a little bit when Christenberry popped out. All right, so while we see the end of this race slowly creeping up, 21 laps left to go. Tyler DeTalent retiring. Back on lap 11. Cody Smith retiring on lap 16, finishing 23rd, finishing in 22nd. John Scavanicki blew that engine, spent 25 minutes trying to put her back together, and drew the line on lap number 22. Cody Height, he made it to lap 28. He'll finish 21st. Joseph Anderhar finishes in 20th. As he has gone ahead and taken it back, he made it 71 laps. 86 laps for Ryan Housden as he now takes it back to the garage. And the number 2 of Christopher Heights has gone around and is taking it back to the garage. Wayne Eastwood working his way down in the pits. Keep an eye here on the 84. There are a couple things that can happen here. Fuel and go for the 84. He's going back out. So he must know he's not going to make it on fuel. which means everyone else may need to come in. Wonder if that's our telltale sign here. Fortunately, this will give an opportunity as Kevin Baumler is catching up very, very quickly. And maybe those two can meet. Here they come. You'll see Baumler enter the screen up toward the top. There he is, just a little hint. As they work on getting up to speed, hopefully they can work with each other. And hopefully both of them try to save some fuel here. I don't think Kevin Baumler will have enough fuel to make it to the end, so this may be short-lived for a good chunk of this. Still remaining up front, our top four, unchanged. Conover. Whoa! Conover getting bumped and rammed there by Cody Reeder. Reeder's got the nose buried into the back of the number 8. Ronnie Norman sitting back about 10 seconds, leading this crew back here. Consisting all the way back to Matthew George. George will be kind of teetering on the outside of the top 10 here, as Vincent Arthur has found a way to break it back into it here. Dustin Kleba sits 9th. Take a peek at this. This is Talladega. Probably one of the slowest Talladegas I've called here. Next week, these guys will actually be heading to Kansas for 160 laps there. And then after that, they'll be heading to Charlotte, North Carolina. 200-lap race. Fortunately, they'll get a little bit of a reprieve here from the long tracks as the tracks get shorter and shorter and shorter. Couple of mile-and-a-half tracks of Kansas and Charlotte. And we're going to head to the itty-bitty paperclip out there of Martinsville. We'll still have a good chunk of race left here to go. Atlanta will be following that, breaking into November. Phoenix following up, second to last race of the season, which will be a crown jewel race, which means we will be starting half an hour early for a 275-lap race at Darlington and finishing out the season at Homestead. So a lot of guys are hoping that draft package will be finished before Homestead. That is definitely a draft-heavy track. And seeing how they change this, I hate seeing what's happened here. I would almost question if this would have been a time to change or to test out the car to possibly allow these guys to possibly tune the cars. Maybe give these guys a custom setup to try to build them a little bit faster and a little more draft useful. I'm trying to figure out a good word for it. Not draft heavy, not draft dependent. Would like to see these cars kind of drive on their own, but seeing how it's going right now, this is just about impossible for anybody to find any groove out here. To go just a little bit farther. Currently, they are trying a couple of different things here. Now, I am watching some of the times here between Josh Conover and Brian Jones. And we're kind of keeping an eye as they are slowly, little bit by little bit, creeping up here. And notice that is not when they're nose to tail. Creeping up on Kevin Baumler here. Baumler off by a few laps. Might be able to use that to their advantage to help reel them in. Doesn't mean Baumler was not able to hang out there with Wayne Eastwood. was a little nervous that that might be the 84 trying to get back there at Brian Jones. Remember after that tussle up we had there on lap 81 down in the pits. Alright, here comes Conover, getting ready to use the draft here from Baumler. I'm sure going to try to use up as much as he can so he can sling on around. Hear that? They may have to stack up. Baumler moves to the outside. I don't think Eastwood will do the same. Eastwood will probably hang out here. That'll give Eastwood here a chance. Eastwood should be able to hold on to 19. Pressey didn't cut down. Holy cow. So Pressey, currently our 13th place driver, hangs to the outside, which gets them side by side, and they lose a ton of speed. Kind of a stumble up here on that call. Checking in on Josh Conover, which that lead is back to growing. 3 seconds now is how far back he's fallen. He was getting ready to nudge just under 2 seconds. It seems it is getting worse here. It almost seems like iRacing has built these cars in the opposite direction. Drafting actually is worse. Boy, that is hate to see that. I do appreciate you guys hanging in here with us at SimTraX Broadcasting. We're currently hosting the Monday Night League of the National Oval Racing Association, the Gen 4 Cup Series. Been a pretty interesting run here so far tonight. Guys have been scrambling back and forth whether or not they're going to be able to make any sort of passes. Little fumble here from Jacob Gladelick. Gladelick marks to the outside. That's going to move Tucker up 1. Brian Jones up 1. And notice the 20 of Jacob Gladelick. He's going to be falling off pace here. Wonder if that was a business decision here by Jacob Gladelick. Going ahead and marching out, putting 3 playoff drivers here up a couple of positions. Got a question here at some point. Did something go wrong? What caused Jacob Gladelick to just step out? Ooh, Dalton Tucker using the 40 to pinch. Excellent move. Brady Mote's obviously going to have to block. Excellent job. So pit road heating up here. As they come down into pit road for the final time here tonight. Look at Brian Jones giving a shove there to the 20 again. Jacob Gladelick, just enough fuel to finish this race here. Goes in and squirts back out. Brian Jones, a little bit longer on fuel. he was in the box for another 1.5 seconds, longer than Brady Motes and Jacob Gladden. I would say right now Brian Jones may have a chance with Cody Reeder behind him, Conover pretty close. That this is the opportunity that they can get more than just 2 cars, so Brady Motes and Jacob Gladelick might actually be in some trouble here. These 2 of these guys could fall way behind. Eight laps left to go. Now, we did have a little bit of a rally cap out there, thinking that Wayne Eastwood would not have to pit again. And he did. He had to come in on lap 102. When he came in on that pit lap, that kind of did him in there. Talk about a quick pit stop here. And the one who I think made a mistake is Dalton Tucker. He was able to get up to the 2nd position out there. And looks like he took tires. And I guarantee that was by accident. So Dalton Tucker pretty upset here. As we got a battle here in the front. Brian Jones is going for the lead. Somehow Brady Motes has turned no caution. There it is. So it's definitely very busy here in the front of this race. Here's the run. Outside for the 45. Gets a good roll. Impressive to see that Jones can do it. Jones taking a peek. Switches over. Leads him to the outside. Brady Motes doing exactly what he did at Dover. Yeah, Brady Motes just cannot collect it up here. That was him trying to avoid pit road. Going back through the grass. And then with the grass on his tires and it being hot, because he did not take tires last time. So Brian Jones making all sorts of friends out here. Has made contact with a boatload of drivers down pit road. And now is making contact with drivers out there on the track. Now, I'm not saying it was his fault, but Brady Motes getting hooked here. It's kind of a nasty business. I know Brady Motes does like to block, as he got caught up by Conover at Dover doing the exact same thing, trying to make the block. And Conover had the run. So Motes gets knocked down to 11th. Vincent Arthur has this opportunity now as he now sits 5th. And the guys who only took just enough fuel to make it to the end here. Maybe scrambling. Let's see who comes down pit road. Ah! Conover gets out of it. Vincent Arthur, he gets out of it. Brady Motes coming down pit road. If I were him, 4 tires and fuel for him. See if he can switch this up a little bit here. And unexpected Nick Geilis is coming on down. This will be the 6th stop for both these guys. As the number 12 is saying, hey, I haven't taken tires since lap number 30. So So might as well throw a set on. Guileless after his podium position last week. Looking to kind of resume and try again. Brady Moats. Sitting down pit road here for a little extended time. 33.5 seconds. Probably get a little bit of the grass out of there. Make sure that bumper's pulled out just a little bit. So any of that optional, get it squared away. As we sit behind the pace car at 70 miles an hour here. Brian Jones trying to line himself up for a win here. If Brian Jones ended up winning this race, Lannis will be pretty excited to see the Expel machine come in that number 1 position. Finish in the number 1 position. And then we'll have the opportunity to ask a ton of questions out there of what in the world is with him contacting all these drivers, which is rather unusual for Brian Jones. Alright, looks like a new visitor down pit road is going to be the number 40 of Hunter Sr. Might be thinking 4 tires of fuel for him as well. Yep. Pace car lights should be out. Dalton Tucker looks like he might at least get a top 10 finish here tonight, which is a positive. They'll be starting on the outside row, as I believe they are working on clutching guys together for this inside row. Hopefully RC's out there doing his job, getting these guys rounded up. Nick Pressey getting his wave around, working his way back. Looked like Josh Conover had something, like somebody was giving him problems there with the blue cone. Josh Conover, I would say, is probably in a pretty dangerous spot here this past season. Right now, that 24 car, Vincent Arthur behind him, has been kind of a fireball out there. I think Vincent Arthur would like to win this race. See if he can get that Chevy Monte Carlo into victory lane, but he's got Josh Conover sitting in front of him. Not only that, but they've also got Cody Reeder, Jacob Gladelick, and Brian Jones. So hopefully he does not try to push him out of the way here. As we get ready to get this one going. Pace car ducking on off. As we sit here with Josh Conover. Hear him shift. Green flag is out. Here we go. Such low gearing on these cars, it's going to take a long time to get going. Outside line here. It might be in big trouble here for Josh Conover. And Vincent Arthur as Dustin Kleba fires underneath. Glad you guys are joining us here. This should be a pretty exciting race here to the end. Hopefully this does not end under a caution. Dalton Tucker getting an opportunity to move up a couple extra positions. Dustin Kleba needs to close the gap here, as he's got a huge run. There it is. Clink right there to the back of his own teammate of Cody Reeder. Reeder needs to close the gap. Reeder trying to get up closer. Right now, Jacob Gladelick trying to set up Brian Jones in the 45. 19 does not want to help. And Conover, bad push. Vincent Arthur gives a huge shove. Great save there as the white flag comes out. Brian Jones has 2.5 miles left. Hungry Jacob Gladelick sits behind him. Gladelick might think about popping to the outside. I think that might be suicide. Definitely would not try that here. Let's get a little bit closer as we take a look. Conover from 5th, going backwards. Here we go. Dalton Tucker now up to 5th. Ronnie Norman. The train is running on the inside line. Conover's got to stop the bleeding. He's going to move down. Vincent Arthur now to 8th. Let's shift up front. The 9 car of Dustin Klebus falling out. Brian Jones coming to the line here, and he is going to get himself another win. Fantastic job. Last lap pass might come about and does not. Brian Jones, Jacob Gladelick, Cody Reeder. For the EA Sports 500, that is our 1, 2, and 3. Excellent race here. Especially right toward the end. I don't know about you guys, but once they start packing them together, that definitely gets exciting. All right, we're going to reel in the last of our drivers here at the end. Have a chat with them if you do not wish to hang out here. Guys, Kansas, I will see you guys next week for that race. 160 laps, and we're going to pray iRacing fixes something here. If you guys do stay around as well, Landis out there, we'll have some opportunities here. Brady Moats. In a hurry to get back to the NFL. Excuse me, college. Dalton Tucker almost had a horrible race. Was able to finish in 4th. You want to talk about lucky. Huh. Excellent job here. 2 drivers from Evernham Motorsports getting it done. Dustin Kleba falls down to 8th. Which hate seeing that for him, but hopefully we'll be able to kind of see them clump back together and go back at it at Kansas next week. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys hanging in there. We will be right back here in a couple of minutes, and we'll try to get a hold of Cody Reeder and the number 19. All right, everybody, finally catching up with our 3rd place finisher out there. Cody Reeder in the number 19 Ford. Wow, what a finish here tonight. Talk about this race here tonight. Pretty slow going here, but it definitely works out for you, seeing that you are 7th in the points.
Yeah, it was Well, I won't sugarcoat. This race sucked. It was not fun to drive in. It was probably not fun to watch. Not fun to broadcast. It was probably one of the worst races of the year, and I finished third. I'm sitting here getting interviewed, so it's like, I don't know, the package or whatever it is. If it's a setup issue, I don't think it is. I think it's a package issue. It's terrible. There's no way these cars. I mean, my eyes tell me these cars did not drive like this in 2004. So, yeah, good. I mean, it's a good night overall. It's a little bit of a bummer the way that the race was going. It seemed like the guys that we needed to gain points on, we were going to gain points on, and then I look up and all of a sudden the points leader finishes right behind me. So, kind of a bummer there. But whatever, kept it clean and got to get my teammate in victory lane. So no shame in that.
All right, talk to me a little bit about Dustin Klebu sitting behind you. What happened to him right here at the end?
Well, it's if you don't have anyone behind you, you're dead in the water. So I was side drafting Josh, trying to just help Brian as much as I could, and all of a sudden I see a big run coming behind me, which is Dustin, and he's telling me like, get up, get up, get up. So I go up to get a push from him, and it's like we didn't go anywhere, and then that push kind of stalled his run, which then let Dalton get to his inside, and because he went to the inside, he had no help behind him. I think he lost a bunch of spots. So I don't know. Just kind of a rough night for him, losing the draft, and he was trying to be helpful, but ended up costing spots. So just kind of a bummer night for him. It's just kind of how it goes sometimes, you know.
All right, we all pray that this package deal will be fixed come Kansas next week. You know, how draft heavy do these 1.5 miles get?
It's a good question. I don't know that we've raced 1.5 miles yet with the package. I know we've raced like what was that, Auto Club Michigan, and those were a lot of fun, but I don't think we've raced 1.5 miles yet. So I don't know. I did an AI race, but it's hard to say how much you can actually translate that to like the real thing. I know the setup next week is pretty tight, and I do think there's going to be two lanes. I think there's going to be a bottom groove and then right up against the wall. So I don't know. I think next week will be a really fun, really good race, but I don't know. It's kind of to be seen. I think that these cars are a lot more like the Truck Series, where you just can't get big leads because on this front stretch and the back stretch, you have that draft that at least pulls you, keeps you within distance. So I don't know. We'll just kind of have to see.
All right, buddy. Go and give me a shout-outs here. This has been a painful one.
Yeah, I gotta, congrats to Brian. There was a couple times where I thought I was, again, kind of dead in the water on pit cycle stuff and all that. But he and I worked really well together tonight, just calling out runs and pit strategy and all that stuff. So, yeah, shout out to him. He did a great job. I kind of just told him, like, hey, I'm committed to you at the end, so you don't even have to worry about me trying to get past you, which part of that was because he's my teammate, and the other part is I was too scared to, because I knew what would happen to me is exactly what happened to Dustin there. So, yeah, shout out to Dustin. He had a rough night. Thank you for putting on the broadcast. That had to be brutal. Everybody that watched, sorry. I promise we'll put on a better performance next week. But yeah, thanks.
All right, buddy. Yeah, I was kind of hoping it was going to be like the Aaron's 499 that we had earlier here in the season, but iRacing's changed up a few things, and I hope it definitely works out for the better, and at least maybe try to cool you guys down a little bit before we head to Martinsville in a few weeks. Ugh. All right, Cody. Yeah. Congratulations on your third place finish, buddy. I will wait. You started tonight 7th in the points. We'll kind of see where this does mash you guys all up here at the beginning of next race. I'll update everybody. Good luck out there, mister.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, Evernham Motorsports gets not one but two drivers here. Two drivers into the podium positions here. Brian Jones, we meet again.
Yes, sir. What a race. What a terrible, terrible race.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to sit here and poke at some of your racecraft out here, and I have a ton of questions for you. What the heck happened down there on lap 80 with Wayne Eastwood?
I'm going to have to go check. I have no idea. Lap 80? Let me check.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we were coming down pit road, and the 84 CarQuest machine was to the inside, and Mr. Eastwood ended up getting spun around through pit road.
Oh, I think I remember that one. Let me go back and look.
It looked like you came in on the very inside, but it was in the process of a 3 wide. A nudge there to Nick Ham, and then after that was then the 84.
Wait, what lap did you say? 80?
Yeah, I think it was 80 or 81.
I'm gonna look at it now. We'll do a little live review for you.
Yeah, because I saw it came down, you turned somebody, and then you did the same thing, I think, on lap 106 there with the 20 car of Jacob Gladelick. You rode along the side of his car into the box.
Okay, so here's the deal, Patrick. In this league, you have to go to the right. Okay, you have to go single file to the right.
Right.
You can go double file for a minute, but you have to eventually get to the right, because if you don't, you have a lot of people getting in their pit stalls. So
yeah.
I told the 20, I'm going down. I got a pit. Like, I'm not gonna drive through pit road. I'm doing the right thing. I'm getting all the way to the right. If you want to play the game and go to the inside, you better hope your pit stalls first. That's how it works in this league.
Yeah, and then that's also how it works, out there in real life. Heck, if you're one of the first 5 guys, you can go to the inside or whatnot, but it works the same as if you're all the way at the end of pit lane. You don't have to move all the way to the right. You just gun it out of there, and then everything's a-okay. But man, it just talk about wild is it was 3 wide just going in there on pit 81, and it was just so crazy seeing what was going on out there. I don't think there's a driver here on the track that was happy with tonight's race other than you.
I wasn't happy with it either. I had 0 fun despite winning. This package is terrible. It's broken. The Cup car, the next gen Cup car, was broken in the exact same way as this one was 2 years ago for Daytona, the very first race the year, and it's broken in the same way for this one.
Boy, yeah, I've got to admit, stressful up here, stressful for our for our viewers, and even stressful for the racers out there. You guys are racing in clumps of 4, spread apart by about 6 seconds apiece, and it was no one could really catch anybody. And God help you if you try to make a pass out there.
Patrick, I passed nobody on the right side all day. I literally just stayed on the yellow line and didn't even try to pass people. You couldn't make any ground. You would just go backwards. So this thing's broken. iRacing unfortunately has a history of just breaking good cars, and they've done it again.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping they're going to undo it, because the Gen 4 is the most sought after car to drive here in the NASCAR circuit, other than the next gen, which is pretty impressive seeing how little it has been out. Let's talk about the last pass here with Brady Moats. You said no passing to the outside. We did take a peek to the outside when we were passing the number 40. You took it 3 wide, sent it right to the inside, and it looked like he may have come down on your nose there and ended up slinging himself off the track. Kind of what was the game plan? Is that kind of what we were aiming for?
Yeah, I don't really remember exactly what happened, but I just remember that I did not want to be in a situation where I was on the outside. I was okay pushing whoever's in front of me, but I cannot be on the outside and let people go to the inside and just freight train me and go to the back. So whoever gets to the yellow line first is unfortunately the winner, I guess. I can't really remember the entire situation, the exact details, but my entire mindset was just stay on the yellow line.
Yeah, it was very difficult with the 40 being as slow as he was. So Kansas ends up bringing us next week. I am definitely hoping they come out with some hot patch fix or something to maybe put the package back on the car to try to straighten this thing back out, because it was pretty brutal. But we moved to Kansas. We've got Charlotte coming up. We got Martinsville coming up. I mean, this is going to be a pretty tough circuit here the next couple days. I know you're trying to gain some ground here on Dalton Tucker in the points. I mean, we've got a lot of different multifaceted situation here. You know, what do you have to say? And then talk to me a little bit about Expel here.
The point situation's not looking good. I don't know how it shakes out after tonight, but Dalton I think got 4th or 5th or something. He got another really good finish. We don't have enough cars out there for, you know, him to have a bad points day. You know, to give up, I don't know what it is, 70 points or something to second place.
Yep.
There's just not enough cars that show up every night for that to really happen. So I don't know. It is what it is. I'm gonna go out there and try my best every week. Unfortunately, next week I'll be racing from a hotel room on a G27 and a 13-inch laptop, so not a good situation for me.
Man, what can we do to keep avoiding this? This is not the first time.
Well, if you know anyone in the greater Phoenix area who has an iRacing rig, please hit me up, and I would love to rent it from you.
Attaboy. All right, Brian, go ahead and give me your shout outs here. I believe your wife or your girlfriend out here definitely went ahead and gave us the lowdown. Expel, talking about that the car wash soap even smells good. Talk to me a little bit about it.
Yeah, well, first off, big shout out to my wife, Alanis. She really supports my racing endeavors, so I really appreciate that. Big shout out to LJ Hernandez, everybody at the Hernandez household for watching. Appreciate the support. Yeah, and big thanks to Expel. They've been a partner on our YouTube channel, on the race car all year long, so we appreciate their support. Use code Alanis20 at checkout if you want to get you some car care products. Or, hey, if you want to get some PPF, don't got a discount for that, but Expel does have the best PPF in the game. If you want to protect your car or boat or windows or whatever it is you want to protect, Expel can do it.
Cool. All right. Brian Jones, appreciate you, man. Congratulations on another win. I'm sad to see you're not happy about your win, but hopefully we'll be able to see this start to wind up for you and start kind of, I guess, collecting some points here so you can start reeling in Dalton Tucker.
Yeah, we need all the points we can get, but appreciate it.
All right, Brian Jones, we'll see you next week, brother.
All right, we'll see you.
All right, everybody, that's Brian Jones there, and you can almost feel the guy is not happy about the way this race went. Yeah, especially kind of how that crunched down here toward the end. I definitely hate seeing it, and I know it was a brutal race for you guys. I know it was trouble up here for me as well. There were points where we just kind of watched the race, see if anything was going to happen, and watch them tick off a few of those laps. But that's going to do it for us here at SimTraX Broadcasting, bringing you the National Oval Racing Association, the Gen 4 Cup Series. I'll see all you guys next week at Kansas for another playoff race, and we'll hopefully hammer out a few extra things and possibly have a nice new little setup for you guys. But until then, be well, be safe, be kind, and we'll see all you guys next time.